Hey, hello, welcome to Open, the show that's open to the Bronx and the rest of the world. Right to you, I am Daren, Jaime. Today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough and New York City. Coming up, we'll learn about a guide for living well in the 21st century, whether you're approaching 50 or in your later years or caring for someone who is. After that, we'll delve into the fascinating exploration of baseball history with a narrative transcending the game itself. Then, we'll highlight a significant event that's aiming to foster wellness and health in our community. And then, we'll discuss how many Americans are dealing with the financial strain after the return of student loan payments after a 3-year pause. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. Hey, hello everyone, I am Daren Jaime. You are now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on MNN's channel. You can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Some things have been going on through the course of the past week. We'll take you through it with our Bronx updates. And we kick off with community news. The Children's Hospital at Montefiore opened the first hospital-based outpatient physical and occupational therapy gym for children who are aged 3 to 11 in the Bronx. Our BronxNet reporter Kim Aline brings us the story.
The Children's Hospital at Montefiore opened its doors to the first hospital-based outpatient physical and occupational therapy gym for children ages 3 to 11 years old.
We're celebrating the opening of our new PT and OT gym, physical therapy and occupational therapy gym here in the Children's Hospital, which is a first, to provide opportunities for all of the children within the Children's Hospital and in the community.
Established in 2001, the Children's Hospital at Montefiore has continually evolved to meet the dynamic needs of children and families, ensuring advanced care and support in 2024.
The epidemiology of disease that kids face and the therapies that we could offer kids at that time was very different than what it is today in 2024. Kids today in the Bronx need outpatient rehabilitation services. So this gym that you're about to see is part of our commitment to that constant evolution, change, and adaptation that makes us a great children's hospital.
This brand new space will accommodate up to 9,000 visits per year and will serve patients with a range of needs, including physical therapy that offers rock climbing and weightlifting suitable for children.
This is a pediatric-sized rock wall that allows children to use both their fingertips, their hands, their legs, so to exhibit their fine motor skills and further develop their gross motor skills in a fun and exciting way.
The new gym will also include a variety of toys designed to test and enhance young patients' gross and fine motor skills as well as cognitive development. This collaborative effort represents a significant step in offering the comprehensive support the Bronx needs.
You're meeting young people and children where they are. You're addressing the unique needs of this community.
Reporting for BronxNet, Kim Aline.
And thank you, Kim. And in other news, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention hosted a walk drawing over 300 participants to promote solidarity and raise funds for suicide prevention research. Our BronxNet reporter Chris Camilla has the details.
Over 300 people gather at Golden Avenue, adjacent to Lehman College, to walk in solidarity, addressing a matter that CDC data finds is the 11th leading cause of death in the United States. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is a long-standing advocate for community outreach and education. Their Out of the Darkness Community Walk series is a long-standing tradition spanning 3 decades, just one of their many efforts aiming to raise awareness and critical funds for suicide prevention research.
It's a beautiful Sunday here in the Bronx. We're at Lehman College. We've got about 300 people here this morning who are here with us to walk for suicide prevention. They may have lost a loved one or have struggled with mental health themselves, but everyone here shares that same connection that they want to save lives.
With 325 registered participants, this year's event saw a significant increase from last year's 120 attendees. The 2.1-mile walk around Jerome Park Reservoir symbolizing solidarity and support among today's participants.
We are very proud of the fact that this walk has been growing each year.
Co-chairman of the walk, Marty Greenberg, joining the effort for his 3rd consecutive year, says he relates with the mission statement, having also lost a loved one.
I personally lost my father to suicide, so this is a very powerful issue for me.
In New York City alone, approximately 500 people die by suicide annually, as reported by the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. And everybody here is walking for someone they know or knew affected by the issue.
My cousin TJ.
My nephew Adrian. Everyone who struggles with mental health issues.
When people come out and gather for events like this, it helps them to see that we are here for them, not just one borough. We're here for everyone.
Today's walk also creates crucial conversations surrounding mental health, educating participants about available resources. Principal Officer of nonprofit The Speak Initiative, Rachel Jones, emphasizes that while there is no single solution to stopping suicide, their partnership with the foundation is a significant step toward finding efficient solutions that reduce stigma and encourage more individuals to openly discuss their struggles.
Some ways we can combat suicide is 1, education, 2, being in community and talking about it, and 3, using the resources that we actually have. So AFSP focuses on education, which they have a number of different education series that they do for the community, which are all free. And they also do research and advocacy as well.
By annually bringing a community together, organizations involved strive to create a safer, more supportive Bronx for those affected by suicide, to amplify that nobody is alone.
It may not be someone in your direct, immediate family. We all have some degree of connection to this cause.
On Golden Avenue, BronxNet Community Television, I'm Chris Kimella.
Great work. Thank you, Chris. That's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We are taking a quick break, but guess what? We have more open when we return. And we are back. As we navigate life's complexities, Particularly in our later years, the questions we face can often feel overwhelming. But what if there was a guide to help us celebrate and thrive in this later stage of life? Well, in a groundbreaking new book, our next guest offers a roadmap and provides invaluable insights into longevity, brain health, financial planning, and the importance of relationships and social engagement. We are pleased now to be joined by the Executive Vice President and Chief Public Policy Officer of AARP, Debra Whitman. And Debra, glad to have you.
Thanks so much.
And when we look at where we are today, obviously Americans are living longer, trying to enjoy life. And talk to me about the importance of having a positive mindset.
So it's really important. I think most people think about things like having a healthy diet and exercise and not smoking as keys to longevity and being healthy. But our mindset actually matters just as much. If we have a positive view on aging, if we think of aging as a time of purpose and knowledge, we live 7.5 years longer. Our health is better, and even our brain volume is higher, and we have lower risk for dementia.
Well, I think about aging and I think about longevity. One of the things that comes to mind is better eating, better exercise, all of that. Never did I ever get to the place where I really thought about a zip code, but somehow a zip code plays into this as well.
Yeah, there is huge disparities in how long people will live based on where they live. So your zip code now is probably more important than your genetic code. We have counties across the country, in Colorado, where they live 20 years longer than in counties in South Dakota. So looking across the population, it's not that people are different, it's that where they live and the environments they live really affect our health and longevity.
Yeah. And when we have people who are growing older, obviously being a caregiver is a unique thing for many families because some are just being thrust into it for the first time, never thinking that you'd ever have to be a caregiver, but you are. Share me a little bit about how and some advice that we could have for particularly caring for some of our aging relatives.
Yeah, it just takes a fall from your mom to get a phone call that's going to really change your life. And for most people, they either are a caregiver, they were a caregiver, or maybe one day they'll need care themselves. What I advise is to really be part of the conversations that your loved one is having with their healthcare provider so that you understand both their needs, physical needs and health needs, but also what are the needs when they get back home and how can you help support them? And then what tools are available in your area that can help support you?
Yeah, Debra Whitman is the author also of the book, The Second 50. It's answers to the 7 big questions of midlife and beyond. And when we talk about midlife, we hear that word midlife crisis, but you got a couple of answers. Do you mind sharing a couple more?
Sure. One thing to know is actually we're less happy midlife than we are in later life. 9 out of 10 people over age 50 are both hopeful about their future and generally are pretty happy. So there's a lot to look forward to.
And when we talk about looking forward to, the later years of life, sometimes for a person that's living it, it's hard fetched because there's this mental anxiety about, hey, I'm getting older. But talk to us a little bit about that. And what are some of the things that you're noticing about those persons who are aging, but yet still are able to turn the curve and have a more healthy and more, fluid life?
So one of the areas that most people worry about is losing their memory. In fact, half of us think that that's an inevitable part of aging. But in reality, only 15% of people, even in their late 70s, have even mild cognitive impairment. And there's a lot that we can do to lower our risk factors, things like eating right and exercising, keeping our brains well used by doing activities that challenge us, making sure that we are connected with others. Loneliness and isolation is the same as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So there's lots of empowerment that I try to talk through in the book of giving people the facts and then letting them know what they can do to improve their lives.
You know, you made me feel so much better because, you know, when you think about losing your keys, you think, okay, am I losing my mind? Now every time you turn around, you lose your keys, you feel like you're having this little complex here. But the reality is for so many people, connection, particularly after COVID, has been diminished. We know that we can now do things virtually, we can social distance, and many people are really socially distancing by socially distancing as a form of saying, I really just don't want to be bothered with people these days. But you've outlined and said there's this value in connection and also longevity that's attached.
Yeah, our relationships really matter. I talked to a Harvard professor that did one of the longest studies of people in the country. And he looked at healthy people in their 80s and said, well, what happened in their 50s? What made these people healthy? And it was the quality of their relationships. And so, you know, invest in your new friends, invest in your forever friends, even just, you know, chatting up the person as they're checking you out in the checkout line. All of those things, we don't think of them as health behaviors, but they really are.
Yeah. We have some public policy that's out there really supporting older adults, and I want to get an opportunity to hear from you some things that potentially maybe we should be paying attention to that's out there that we can give our voice to.
So we have a growing aging population, but we really haven't modernized our programs like Social Security and Medicare and looked at things like long-term care that more people need as they age. So we need to make sure that those programs are strong and there for the current generation, but also there for future generations as well.
Yeah. And for yourself, obviously doing this work, what has been the greatest satisfaction for you? I mean, having the opportunity to really look in depth and see older adults aging, and then yet and still there's some great solutions out there and there's some great helps.
So to me, knowledge is power, and learning as much as I did, I realized how much I need to prepare for my future, but also really cherish every day. Make sure I'm investing in my relationships and also make sure that I'm hopeful.
Yeah, yeah. Before we go, I just want to also get one other thing, because a lot has been said about older adults and sometimes their financial worth, but there are economic contributions that are tied to older adults. I want you to just take a moment and share with us a little bit about those things.
Well, older adults are paying taxes, so they help the economy that way. They're buying goods and services. In fact, almost half of every dollar spent is by somebody over age 50. So they're helping to engage our economy. And they're also giving thousands and thousands of volunteer hours. So they're a key driver of our economy. And if you think about older, you know, we have a lot of older workers too. For the first time, we have 5 generations working together. And the knowledge, the mixed generations teams are actually more productive for employers. And so there's a huge value to older people, and we need to take advantage and make sure we're using them in ways that can help the economy, but also help make sure that they have financial security later in life.
Yeah. Debra Whitman, we're going to leave it there. She is the Executive Vice President and Chief Public Policy Officer of AARP. I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
All righty, you take care. Now listen, if you want more information, visit the website at aarp.org/second50. We encourage you to don't go anywhere. We're back with more Open coming up right after this.
We're going to start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at BronxNet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express that? Thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit BronxNet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
And we are back. The book, The Uncommon Life of Danny O'Connell, invites readers to explore the journey of a player that was dismissed as merely common in the world of baseball card collecting. Yet, as we discover, Danny O'Connell's life is a rich tapestry, woven with dreams, disappointments, and the unrecognized grandeur of an ordinary existence. Joining me now is the author of The Uncommon Life of Danny O'Connell, Steve Wiegand. And thank you, Steve, for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so Steve, let me ask you, when somebody asks who is Danny O'Connell, not a household name, but you find him to be one.
Well, yeah, he's certainly not a household name. And I guess the quick answer is he was a baseball card. He was a baseball player whose baseball card I kept getting when I was a kid. What attracted me to him was that even though he was considered a common player as a player, he was by no means average. And I'll give you a quick example because, as you know, baseball is about nothing if it's not about statistics. Danny O'Connell was born in 1929. There were 2.1 million American males born in 1929. Of that number, 93 made it to the big leagues for even just one game. And O'Connell played for 10 years. And so I got to thinking he might be considered a common player in the parlance of baseball cards and the baseball game, but he certainly wasn't average. And as I got down the rabbit hole with his life, I found it fascinating. And so this book is sort of a tribute to the average ball player.
Yeah, and when you think about baseball cards, I'm a collector, or used to be a collector myself, and as I said, my cards are no longer relevant because they're in the 80s and the steroids, so they tell me it's not worth too much. But I know a little something about collecting cards, and when you see a guy's card traditionally over and over again, the worth of the card is really in the exclusivity of it. So when you see it more, it's kind of like the other way around. So was that something that intrigued you, like seeing him over and over and over again?
Yeah, because, I was a San Francisco Giants fan. I'd take my allowance and I'd run up to the store and I'd buy my cards. I'd be looking for Willie Mays or Orlando Cepeda or some star giant. And every card I would get, every pack I would open would have a Danny O'Connell card in it. I didn't know who the heck Danny O'Connell was, and by the end of that season, I got to where I hated the guy. So, yeah, you're right. And I think you were a collector. You probably had some player that every time you opened a pack, you saw the same face and you didn't know who the guy was and you didn't want him. Well, what I found was there's a good story behind each of those cards. And in O'Connell's case, it was a good story for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, I looked and I saw I got a Pete Rose card. I don't know how much it'll ever be now, but, shout out to Pete Rose, one of the greatest of all time in baseball history. And when you look at Danny O'Connell, you see people such as Pete Rose and other great ball players that we see today. There's this vast difference, but then there's this one commonality, and that's that their lives. You have to live out life. And what made Danny O'Connell's life so special? It wasn't great in terms of being an athlete, but he had a special life.
Yeah, he sort of mirrored what's now called the golden age of baseball. He was born in the Depression, grew up in Patterson, New Jersey, and from the time he was 6 years old, he wanted to be a baseball player. And he achieved his dream. He did it the hard way. He spent 5 years in the minors, finally got to the majors, had a great rookie year, and then he got drafted and was in the Korean War for 2 years. And he came back and he played the rest of the decade of the 1950s baseball. So he lived his dream, which is basically to play baseball for a living.
And when you look at baseball players today, obviously, a lot of money's out there, and a lot of publicity is out there. Wasn't the same back then. So what was it like pretty much from a Danny O'Connell perspective?
Well, during the season, he was a star. He got his name in the newspapers. He traveled, stayed in nice hotels. The season ended, and most players in those days didn't make enough money to live off their baseball salary. So in O'Connell's case, the season ended, and he took a job. Sometimes he worked for the post office. Sometimes he worked for UPS. Sometimes he worked for a beer distributorship and gave speeches to different dinners and things. And then then spring training came, and he dropped that life and went back to playing baseball for the season.
And when we talk about how you came upon him, again, through the life of a baseball card. Talking to you, I feel this commonality, right? Because I was a card collector. I know you were a card collector. You've had cards. Talk to us about this, because there's this world and there's this connection that stems between people in the baseball card industry.
Yeah, it's funny. That's a great point, because I was my little league prowess peaked at the age of 11. I think that's when I reached as good as I was ever going to be as a player. I love baseball, and baseball cards gave you that link with the game. And I think that's been true since baseball cards were invented, and it's true today for a lot of kids. And so I know, talking to people around the country, somebody's always got if they collected baseball cards, they've got a baseball card story. It's either a player they really loved, or a player that they couldn't stand and they got all the time, or how they almost got a collection complete in sixth grade or high school. And in my case, I have no excuse. I gave them to the kids next store. So
yeah. And when we look at baseball as we know it right now, obviously a lot of major league talent out there. I'm going to talk about the Mets for a minute again. I know we're in the Yankee town, so, just go with the underdog for a minute because the Mets are in the playoffs. But I look at a guy like Sterling Marte, and I think he's a great ball player. However, I understand that, Sterling didn't start right there in the big leagues. He came through the minor leagues. And the minor leagues being a backdoor for, not even a backdoor, but a backdoor and also a front door for so many big league players, where the talent is actually cultivated there.
yeah, that's a good example, because there's a guy who made it because because he can play a lot of positions. He can do a lot of things on the team, and he helps the team in a lot of different ways. And that's the type of player O'Connell was. He was not a star by any means, but he could do a little bit of everything, from pitch batting practice to play every infield position. So that's what kept him in the big leagues for 10 years. And there's a lot of players like that today. There's stars on every team, but most of the players are guys who play a role and know what they need to do to help win.
Yeah. An interesting quote that I saw at the front of the book came from Bob Costas, and I'll read it for somebody who doesn't have the book. It says, being an average Major League Baseball player means that you're a better ball player than 99% of all those who ever swung a bat. And it just may mean that your story is much richer than the average stat suggests. And you find that with Danny O'Connell.
Yeah, I think so, because, O'Connell's work for the team went well beyond the statistics. He was really well loved by his teammates on all the teams he played for. Even the opposing players liked him, because he had a great sense of humor. He tried hard all the time. He played the game right. He hustled all the time, but he wasn't an angry player, and he wasn't a team player. And even the umpires liked him. So, if you go to work every day and your coworkers like you, and the people on the other companies like you, and the guys who are the bosses like you, then you must be a pretty good guy.
Yeah. So, Steve, now, did Bob Costas actually know about Danny O'Connell, or did you have to give him the background?
No, he knew about him. Being a New York guy, he knew about Danny O'Connell, because O'Connell grew up in New Jersey, played with the New York Giants before they moved to San Francisco, was an arch rival of the Dodgers when they were in Brooklyn. So I'm sure Bob knew who Danny O'Connell was.
Yeah, yeah. So as we think about baseball right now, obviously it's October, and we know here in the Bronx, Reggie Jackson was always known as Mr. October. And I think about where we are baseball-wise, the fact of where we've come, and really the identity that it has in sports, and so many people are attracted and attached to baseball. What has baseball as a sport meant to you?
Yeah, to me, growing up when I did in the 50s and early 60s, my youth, football hadn't come around as much. Basketball wasn't a big deal, particularly. Baseball was truly America's sport. And as you said before about collecting baseball cards, and how you and I, we never met, but we have a kinship because we both collected cards. I think the game, you're in New York, I'm here in Arizona. We can talk baseball. We can talk about, how the Mets are going to do against the Brewers. They're going to continue. Are they going to do those comeback things like they did yesterday against the Braves? And that's something that people can relate to, and put aside any differences you have otherwise and talk about the game. And I think that's true in other sports too, but baseball has such a long history in America that I think it has a unique role.
Yeah. Well, since I got you here, I might as well put you to good use here and talk about what do you see happening in the rest of these playoffs?
You know what? I have a bad feeling. I have to confess, I'm a Giants fan, so I'm rooting for anybody but the Dodgers. But
okay.
I got a bad feeling it's going to be the Yankees and the Dodgers again.
Really?
I wouldn't mind seeing the Mets. I wouldn't mind seeing the Phillies. I wouldn't mind seeing the Padres. And in the American League, the Tigers would be great because they've been gone for so long from the playoffs. But I have this feeling it's going to be an Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani show.
Yeah. And what has Ohtani meant for baseball? I mean, obviously, to see his stats and to see him play, he's really revitalized the game of baseball too.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, and Judge is the same way, that when you even care about baseball, my wife is not a baseball fan by any means, but if I have a game on, Ohtani comes up or Aaron Judge comes up, he stops and watches. And, man, Ohtani's a beast. I mean, you think about what he's done this year as a hitter, and then he didn't even pitch. So who knows what's going to happen next year?
Isn't that crazy? I mean, the man didn't even pitch this year, and you look at his stats and you wonder where could it go. But he's on fire, and we'll see. Steve, it's been great talking to you, brother. You got to come back and talk again.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Again, Steve's book is The Uncommon Life of Danny O'Connell. And Steve, if somebody wants to pick it up, where do they go?
You can pick it up anywhere you can buy a book. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstore, just about any place you can buy a book.
Yeah.
If you don't have the money, go to the library and get it there.
All right. The Uncommon Life of Danny O'Connell, written by Steve Wiegand. And thanks so much, Steve, for sitting. You brighten my day talking baseball. And listen, I got to go, but I need to keep my viewers here. So I want to tell our viewers, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more right after this.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with BronxNet Community Media classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At BronxNet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated BronxNet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with BronxNet. Visit bronxnet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
And we are back. The House of Mizrahi is proudly celebrating its 26th annual National Mizrahi Weekend, which is a multifaceted celebration designed to provide a haven for individuals to decompress, reflect, and also be able to strategize. The House of Mizrahi is committed to addressing critical issues such as HIV and AIDS, poverty and homelessness, as well as mental health through community outreach and harm reduction strategies. Here now, sharing more, we've got the founder of the House of Mizrahi. Andre Clark Mizrahi. Thank you so much for being with us, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, looking forward. You got a weekend coming up that's pretty intense.
It's usually intense. It's my 56th birthday actually, and I celebrate it every year for the last probably 35 years.
Yeah.
In ballroom, yeah.
So when we talk about the work that you do, obviously it's community focused and community driven here.
Yes.
With the house. And,
yes.
When we talk about the house, the purpose, I know one of them is really dealing with awareness.
Yeah, we try to get that out there any way we can.
Talk to me about that, because do you find that awareness is getting better these days, or because you know before there was a stigma and a lot of people wouldn't say anything, but now you know you have a lot more people trying to break the word out.
Yeah, I do feel it's getting out there slowly. I do feel that it's still a lot of stigma behind it because of basically the word of HIV period scares a lot of people from where it came from to now. So you just have to be in the streets, be with your kids, and basically just school them a lot on a lot of different things to just help the stigma try to go away, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so you decided to create the house, right?
Yes.
And what was the background to say, listen, I want to do this?
Okay, before I even created the house, I was in a different house.
Okay.
And I started as a LaBeija.
Explain what a LaBeija is.
LaBeija is basically, okay, it's a foundation where the gay black men and trans women get together and we compete for different trophies and all over the world, basically, different countries, different states. It's got so huge now where they have TV shows and everything running with it. So basically, it's just a competition where who's going to be the greatest of what teams. We make up names, like my house is Mizrahi, you have the House of Ebony, you have the House of Muglair, and there's so many, it's probably like 35 different houses all around the world, maybe a little more than that. So that's basically what it is. It's a big competition for the gay community.
And so for yourself, obviously having your own house, what does that mean?
That means you have conquered and you have won. I'm one of the ones that won more trophies and more categories to win different trophies than anybody in ballroom, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that feel for you?
It feels good to win something and to be in a place where no one other person is for the talent that you have. So it feels wonderful, actually.
Yeah. I want to talk. You got an event coming up between the 24th and 28th. I want to walk through a little bit of it and you share a little bit about it here. So on day one, we got some community workshops and a ballroom and agency town hall and some community outreach.
Basically to give back and to promote on basically HIV and just get the awareness out there with everybody that you can and build your brand at the same time.
Yeah. And then you also have street harm reduction and prevention.
Yes.
So what's that about?
Well, street harm, and I can't really say exactly what that is all about because basically someone else did that, a part of me.
Right.
But it's basically all giving back to the community in some type of way.
Cool. Then we go to day two. Day two is your birthday ball and celebration.
Yeah, my celebration is something that I do. I give back awards basically every year of my birthday, basically giving back to the community because that's way, I don't think you could give better than on your day to show the appreciation that you giving back on your birthday, meaning, yeah, that's just the day I want to do that because I think it means more to me, so.
And then after, I don't know how you gonna do this, after the party, you got the strategic planning and leadership?
Same thing, giving back to the community. We have to give back to the community only because the community gives us as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
The community always comes strong. So at the end of the day, you want to basically help the community in any type of way when it comes to HIV and awareness and all of that. So,
right.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the LGBT and Q plus community, a lot of needs, right? A lot of things that are going on right now.
Yes.
Bring us up to speed for like what people should be paying attention to in terms of ways that people are asking for public support, public engagement. How can people go about that?
To ask for public support in any situation with the gay community, you have to go to your leaders, and your leaders probably will go to different organizations to try to figure out what's the best way for that. That's the only way it will work for me. And when it comes to, you know, your kids, the comfortability makes a lot of difference. If I don't know you, my kids is not going to really go to you. So that's why I always tell all the parents to go to, your kids, and make sure they're comfortable around you. So when you do bring them to outreaches and different programs, it will work for them as well, because they're so used to you, they're going to trust you to do whatever they need to do with the support of different organizations.
So with your ear to the ground and boots on the ground, what kind of needs are there out there that you're finding that people say, hey, we need more of this?
Well, there's a lot, from giving out condoms to accepting condoms, from living situations to HIV meds situations. You have to drug situations. You have so many different departments that can help you, and the only thing to get it out there is to really get these kids and make them your friend, make them respect you as a leader, and that'll help them find the right door to open to better their life. Period.
Reaching kids right now and having a conversation, because there are a lot of kids that are out there that are struggling in their sexuality, their identity.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit about what that conversation is like in terms of talking to kids when it comes to the struggle about identity.
The struggle is hard, and the way I would break down struggle is with the kids, that's still about getting to know them. See, this is where we fall short at in a lot of situations of not getting to know people, and they put some people into a kid's face that the kid don't know them. They're not going to open up to them. So with the houses, we would get kids together and make sure they know us, and then we would find whatever they need and bring them there and go with them to make sure they're fine, because that's the only way where they will feel comfortable of saying what is wrong to better it, if that makes sense.
Yourself as an influencer, what do you feel like your message is to the community?
I have a few messages. One, I never drank, I never smoked, so that helps the community in a lot of ways when I do talk to my kids. By me being gay myself and having a child of my own, that brings a lot too, because I've been a parent and my son is 36 years old. So all of that, and the comfortability, I always say comfortability, because you have to make your kids comfortable to open up to you. So all of that comes with practicing with them, dancing with them, walking with them, meetings together. All of that helps before you can open up to any child to bring them to a place for help. Yeah.
So you got that.
So all of that I have inside me. That's what I do. Period.
What do you think? What do you attribute as your secret sauce, if you will?
My secret sauce is not looking my age, still dancing on my head, winning trophies, and being out in the community helping whatever I can. I think that's my sauce.
Yeah. And the one message that you want to give people?
Love life, live life, and always take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to end up in a hospital, or you might be deceased in some type of way. Because at the end of the day, you only have one life, so try to live right.
Yeah. You talked about the fact that you've been you've won several awards around the world.
Over 1,800.
Over 1,800.
Yes.
I said several. I was being nice, but over 1,800. Out of all of them, is there one that really sticks out the most?
It's two that sticks out the most. The one I won here that moved my career completely was I won at the Apollo by myself, voguing, that's a part of dancing, and no other gay community person ever in life have won at the Apollo, Showtime at the Apollo televised. So I won that, and that changed me with doing the BET Awards, the MTV, all of that, the television stuff. And one more I got when I was living in Georgia for 25 years, I've got my own day. Every June 29th is Andre Mizrahi Day in Atlanta, only because taking care of homeless kids and letting them live with me, basically to try to find a direction for them to lead right in their life.
Yeah.
So both of them is really what I, love.
We want people to know that, again, the 24th to the 28th, you're going to be here?
Yes, I will be in New York City, and it's going down, my 56th birthday. And I've been doing it, like I said, for 32 years with Mizrahi, but all together about 38 years, period. I've been running and making my name with the gay community and trying to lift positive thoughts in every type of way when it comes to life in my community.
Well, it's great to have you here.
I so appreciate you again, man. Thank
Hey, man,
you.
thank you for coming.
I so
Andre
appreciate
Clark
it.
Mizrahi with us. And listen, if you want more information, visit the website at thehouseofmizrahi.com. Encourage you, don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up. We'll be right back right after this.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
Hey, creative family, my name is Timothy Coleman, and I'm the Director of Education here at BronxNet. And I'm standing in BronxNet's Media and Technology Studios in the South Bronx, because I want to let you know about an amazing program that we're bringing back that highlights the creativity of community members just like you. Emerging Media Makers is a show that introduces you to BronxNet's certified producers. They've taken a step in their creative journey by enrolling in BronxNet's media training classes. On this show, you'll get to see the many ways that our certified producers have created a space that's all their own. Emerging Media Makers, your passion lives here.
And welcome back. As Americans grapple with the return of student loan payments after a 3-year pause, many are adjusting their budgets to accommodate the financial shift. Now, a recent survey from the National Endowment for Financial Education reveals a significant 74% of borrowers with student loan balances have made changes to their monthly budgets, with many cutting back on essential expenses. Try saying that twice. All right, joining me now to share more is the President and CEO of the National Endowment for Financial Education, Dr. Billy Hensley. And good to have you, Dr. Hensley.
Good morning. Thank you.
I think I got essential expenses down pat now, but listen, people are trying to make this adjustment, and everybody's not going to get student loan forgiveness. We know that. So for the rest that are not out there under this forgiveness plan and trying to really find a way to navigate, how has this whole situation of resuming payments really affected the population?
Yes. So last October, when the repayment pause ended, we explored what people believed would happen, what were they expecting, and how it would impact their finances. And now here we are a year later. We know the reality of how borrowers are managing those loans. And this is no small number. A little over a quarter of the population currently have outstanding loans, or someone close to them, a child or grandchild, for example, has a student loan. There's a bit of positive news, and there's some considerable concerning news as well. The positive being the majority are saying that they are doing okay, at least for right now. Keep in mind that nearly 1 in 5 may not have had to make payments yet. But sadly, 27% say the end of the pause has negatively impacted their financial lives. The bit of silver lining here is that it's lower than the 49% who were anticipating that last fall. More concerning news, though, is that what you noted, that the monthly budgets have been strained, with 74% making cuts out of their budget, 28% cutting up to $500 a month, 21% between $500 and $1,000 a month. And those are fairly significant changes to a monthly budget when you've gotten used to something that's just a bit different.
What has this done for students who've actually had to think about the possibility of furthering their education when you've got this high debt that's you're looking at, you're saying, listen, I gotta pay this off. Are they going back into the educational field?
Well, 2/3 are actually saying they're satisfied with the education that they've received, but a third are saying they are less likely to pursue additional education. Now, when we asked that question last fall, it was 47% were saying they were less likely to pursue additional education. So that has adjusted down a fair amount. But really, what it comes down to is the more you owe, the higher the balance is less likely to continue that education. And, I'm a first generation college student myself. I had student loans for many years more than I want to admit, really. But it's an investment in self. The value here, according to the Social Security Administration on earnings, is that people with a 4-year degree will earn a median $630,000 to $900,000 more over the course of their lifetime. So looking at this as a return on investment, the cost of the degree versus earning potential is a good way to frame this when you're thinking about your decisions about future education.
Yeah, and when we look at future education, obviously people need it. If you're going to try to advance your career, it's very necessary. I think the cost factor is something that so many people are just really trying to consider. How do I navigate getting education and having to deal with that, that cost factor? So when we talk about planning and that planning structure, whether it's long term, what do we know about long term planning by way of people who are saying, listen, I got to get ready for this because this is going to be a high hurdle.
Right. Well, we know that higher education is expensive. The average annual cost is over $28,000 a year. Educating yourself as soon as possible, whether you're thinking about going back to school, getting more credentials or so forth, learn as much as you can, because financial education actually helps people make better decisions about borrowing. They borrow less, they borrow fewer dollars in private loans, and they're 21% less likely to have credit card debt. And so when you're thinking about that long-term investment in yourself, it's important. Take advantage of all of the information that's available at studentaid.gov and work with your student loan servicer. Over half of borrowers are actually satisfied with the quality and frequency of information that they're receiving. So use that to advocate for yourself. If their communication is good or clear, then create a dialogue with them. Explore things like consolidation, which may lower the payment, but it will add more time to the loan usually. Beware of scams. We know this topic is front and center. People are talking about it. Some of us are really desperate to make ends meet in our budget and may fall victim to scams. So protect yourself, protect your information, work directly with resources instead of go-arounds. And just don't forget that if it's too good to be true or someone's asking you to pay a fee, just ignore it and move on.
Yeah. What can you tell us really right now about repayment plans? We're hearing a lot about forgiveness, and we know that's a political issue, and it's a lot been said about that. But it's really, forgiveness is available in some ways, and then there's also the repayment plans that are out there. So for a student that may be trying to navigate, trying to continue their educational future, really just trying to navigate the unemployment world, what can you tell us about those two areas?
Well, there are multiple repayment plan options, and you have to find the one that's right for you. There's some driven by income level, and so it'll adjust your payment based on how much you earn, and it won't be over a certain percent of what you earn. Some of these forgiveness plans have been challenged in court, and they've been stopped or delayed. Some of these decisions are pending. So again, keep up with this news. Track this through your loan provider or studentaid.gov, but make sure you are in the right payment plan for your situation, because there are multiple ways to sort of reconsider repayment plans, but make something that fits best within your budget, and know that if you add time to it, it will continue. You'll have the payments much longer than maybe you even originally thought. But if it helps you make the ends meet at the moment and you have good, strong earning potential in your future, it may be a good option for you.
Yeah, and a lot of people out there choosing deferment. Are you seeing any particular trends in this area?
Well, I don't have that data right in front of me in terms of any particular trends, but deferment and forbearance have been tools for many years to help people get through those tough times in their career. You know, one of the things we know in our research over many years of asking questions like this is that almost every year you are 70% of us, I should say, will face an unexpected expense, and there are tools to help with that. But most of those have to be through the federal student loan programs. Some of the private loans do not have those kind of forgiveness options. So make sure you are borrowing through the Department of Education loans, because anything that's forgiven or relief, private loans will not qualify for most of those.
Yeah. Dr. Billy Hensley is the president and CEO of National Endowment for Financial Education. We've been sharing and talking throughout the course of this segment. And Dr. Hensley, let me ask you this question. I think that COVID was a game changer. We know that COVID was a game changer for many in the educational world. How did it impact from your perspective?
Well, it depends on it affected us all in so many ways. But one of the benefits of the program to pause student loan repayment, especially for people who are earlier in their careers, if they had a disruption in their earning, it helped them adjust to that. Most every one of us will have up to 4 significant financial disruptions in our earning potential, as high as 10% reduction in that. So some of these pauses helped people make those ends meet, and so it helped with that. But now when you add inflation and a changing workforce and more mobility for certain kinds of jobs, it creates more competitiveness. And so you'll need to spend more time advocating for yourself, becoming aware of every program that's available, and doing a little more homework than maybe we had to do before to understand how to navigate the student loan repayment system.
Yeah. And how to receive student loans playing out in the future?
Well, this needs to be a central point in the presidential election. 64% of borrowers want this to be a key issue, a major platform consideration for both candidates. This is tens of millions of people, all potential voters. And no matter right or left, people hold this opinion across the aisle that this needs to be considered. There needs to be policy solutions for the borrower.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I tell you what, it's a lot to consider, a lot to think about coming down the pike. And as you said, this is a political issue that probably will be addressed in some way, shape, or form after November.
Yes.
So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
Yeah, Dr. Billy Hensley, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Take care.
All righty, listen, he's from the National Endowment of Financial Education and the CEO. So listen, if you want more information, visit the website at nefe.org. Now, unfortunately, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, catch Recablecast on Optimus Channel 67, Verizon Files Channel 2133, or watch us anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. And you can catch a brand new episode of Open with Rita Valentine on Friday. This wraps up this episode. For us, I am Daren Jaime saying take care, God bless, and make sure you keep this channel wide open.